Weak spots. Weak spots are an essential component of the well-rounded knowledge base of a capable player. And as the roster of opposition is ever expanding in War of the Tanks, it comes time for me once again to cover some of the most important weak spots for you to know. Let's begin with the Tier 9 and 10 British heavies, the Conqueror and Super Conq. Both of these tanks have a large region atop the tank which is 50.8mm thick. And this is pertinent to know if you're a fan of driving your high-tier American titties, as these high-tier behemoths wield 155mm guns, which, unlike other 750 Alpha guns, such as the 150s from the Germans or the 152s from the Russians, the American 155s can overmatch these plates. And this gives you an excellent recourse against the Conqueror and Super Conq when they're hull down. The KV-220 turret. The KV-220 is a relentless tide on the battlefield, meandering about where KV-3's hull at Tier 5 is tantamount to a wartime. However, you should be aware that the KV-222 has a gargantuan weak spot.
No, you don't. Angle!
Oh no, he's angling his hull! Whatever shall I do? His hull is too thickly armored. Oh no. Whatever shall I do?
How come he's petting me?
I don't know. I'm just so smart.
You know, oh my god.
I'm somehow overcoming your angling, people here. I don't know how I'm doing it. I don't know how.
This is incredible here.
I don't know how I'm winning.
You remind me of an ELC.
I'm just amazing at this video game, people. It's pure skill. Yes, the turret, with its cheeks being 90mm and its gunner itself only rising as high as 75. If you encounter one of these things, simply plow every single shot right into its gun. This one I find myself moderately conflicted about including, as to reliably exploit it, you have to find yourself face-hugging a Jagdpanzer E100, and if you're doing that, well, chances are that weak spot isn't the only capacity in which you lack knowledge. Regardless, the Jagdpanzer E100's gun mantlet. Although this is incredibly thick in most areas, just to the left or right of the gun, its length reaches only 250mm. Now, that is a lot of armor, but most Tier 10s and some Tier 9s will have a decent chance of penning that, because you could just load heat and shoot anywhere on the outer superstructure, but that would be rude. Engine deck overmatches. This one is more a generalization, but it's something to be mindful of. On most vehicles, the armor on the roof of the hull and turret is not exceptional. This means it's very often the case that if you connect a shot onto the engine deck of an opponent, the overmatch rule takes effect and it's an easy penetration. This is a useful recourse against some often very dangerous adversaries. The Viper. Sticking with advantageous overmatch is the Viper. This is a stupidly balanced tank. However, it carries atop it one glaring weak spot, which is a roof of a whole 40mm. This means that anything above a 120mm gun has free rein to overmatch almost anywhere on the roof. So your Russian 122s, well, you're in luck. The AMX M454. With the upcoming nerfs to the AMX M454 and the AMX 65... What? This may be less merited in future than it is now, when the AMX M454 is as worthy an adversary as it has ever been. However, the AMX, while powerful, presents gargantuan weak spots upon angling. Even upon presenting an angle of as low as 20 degrees, this cheek spot above the tracks becomes a better shot than the lower plate. If you see an AMX M454 angling in any significant way, know that these cheek spots are a massive cheek spot. skirts above the track. Another generalization. In this example, we're displaying the STB-1, but these weak spots can be found on many tanks. It's often the case that the inferior aspect of the spaced armor overlying the tracks has a very low nominal thickness, meaning that you can get an overmatch here on a lot of tanks, such as the AMX M4 the E75, the IS-4, the OHO. There's a lot of tanks. Now, it is rare that you'll get this shot, however, it's definitely worth having it in your bag of tricks for when you need it. The frontal weak spot of the 283. Rarity is actually a big contributor in a tank's success. The less popular a tank is, the less people know how to combat it. The 283 certainly falls into that rubric. Can be quite a queensome adversary on the occasion that you encounter it. That said, it is simple to counter, as its frontal and upper plate is in fact a large weak spot on the tank. Finding values here as low as 190mm, which at tier 9, well, would certainly not stand up to punishment. The K2. Sticking with rare tanks, and in this case, thank God, the K2 is an absolute nightmare if in the hands of a driver who knows its gimmick. Presented at 50 degrees, this tank is an IS-4 at tier 8. Do not shoot the side of this tank, instead, target its roof. The armor atop the turret is only 30mm thick, meaning anything above a 90mm gun is gonna go straight through it every single time. Just pretend you're a K2, okay?
I'm a K2, but my K2 suit is in the cleaners, so I'm using my IS-3 suit. This is my dating outfit.
I'm convinced. Yes, I've defeated that evil K2. Thank goodness. The Panzer Quap 7. It feels cool telling everyone about further weak spots of a tank that's already sidelined. But the Panzer 7 tier 10 German heavy has a prodigiously poorly armoured gun mantlet. So if you ever need another reason not to play this tank, then that is a pretty hefty reason right there. The SMB CC-57. The Italian TDs are despised largely for their asinine armour. However, the Tier 7 does have a potent weak spot, as its gun mantlet to the left or right only rises to 80mm, permitting any tank on the battlefield the ability to butter through it like nothing. And that'll do for a collection of useful weak spots. If you're interested in learning more, you can check out our last episode where we covered weak spots. You can also check out the Learn World of Tanks playlist for more videos covering this style of stuff and hopefully helping you get better at the game. In the meantime, due to the fact that I got into a fight with a razor and lost, let's do a contest for 1,000 gold, shall we? All you need to do, leave a comment with your best bold joke, or your best joke about my hair. The funniest one, leave the server that you play on and your in-game name, and I'll pick the winner a couple of days after this video gets posted. Winner will be the one that makes me chuckle the most, so best bold joke or joke about my hair, and you stand a chance to win 1,000 gold. Thank you very much for watching. It's been a pleasure. Check out the other videos that I've linked in the description, and until next time, fare thee well.
Everybody cheers from Germany, man. Thought I'd hide a couple silly verses, my friend. He is a nice guy like Ned Flanders, but wielding a band hammer that make viewers feel him like a gang member, yeah. You better never ever shoot versus the man, cause that's a jerk off his hand, hence you're a permanent ban, yep. Like in a roleplay game, you wield a dagger but get smashed from half.